Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the third of our 4 community forums where we will be talking about NWTC's plans for the summer and fall semester. My name is Alicia Crow. I'm the Vice President of College Advancement, and I will be facilitating our session today. A couple of housekeeping items before we get started. The format for our session for today is Dr. Raffin will be sharing a little bit about our plans for the summer and the fall, and then we will open up for questions from the community members who are in attendance. In order to submit your question, all you need to do is type your question in the chat feature, which usually can be found on the right-hand side of your screen. You can either send a message in the chat to everyone, or you can send us a private message in the Q&A, and we will be able to answer your questions. If for some reason you don't get all of the answers that you seek, I encourage you to submit your contact information to us privately in the chat feature. You can send us your phone number or your email, and one of our staff will get back to you with the answers to your questions. Online with us today are a variety of staff from throughout our college who are prepared to assist and helping you to have any of the questions that you have answered today. I will also share with you that our session is being recorded, and we'll be posting each of our sessions on our NWTC website, so you can listen in to any of the other sessions. We realize that maybe people will have different questions in each of the sessions that we have. So with that, I think that's all the introduction to our format for today. So I'll turn it over to NWTC College President, Dr. Jeff Raffin.
Thank you, Alicia, and welcome to this 10:30 version of the community forum, and a nice rainy day. Probably nothing better that you could do than to participate in this community forum. Of course, I have a little bit of bias, but we're excited to be able to share with you what we're doing here at NWTC during this very different time of our year, season, in fact, in our lives. Lots of folks have been interested in knowing, are we going to be open? If we're going to be opening, is everything online? And have been expressing their concerns. I want to start out by saying, first of all, by thanking all of those people who have been students here, and in the last 8 weeks of the term ended up having to switch from attending classes to an off-campus format as the college was closed. We really appreciate you sticking with us, and I'm extremely pleased with the fact that almost all of you are graduating, have finished your coursework. For those of you who are still in the process of learning your education, thank you for all of that. And I'm particularly grateful to our staff and our faculty for the creativity that they showed and the commitment that they made to you as students and as potential students as they did their work also from home. But as you probably know, we are a hands-on institution. And one of the hallmarks of what we do here is that we give you the opportunity to actually do the work and to do the learning and to practice what it is that you're being taught. And so when you think about us delivering online, the question always is, well, how am I going to be able to learn how to do some of the things? How am I going to learn how to be able to fix, an automobile, or to take care of somebody in a physical therapy session? Or how am I going to be able to make sure that I didn't just learn from the book how I'm supposed to program that computer or fix it, but I can actually do it? All of these things, require you to actually to do that work and be coached through that. One of the things that employers are most excited about our graduates is the fact that when they come out of the college, they already know how to use much of the equipment that the employer has, and they already know how the systems work, as opposed to then having to take some book knowledge and then apply it. So that's what we've been known for and what we are, and we need to maintain that, and we will maintain that. But at the same time, we are extremely aware of and want to make sure that you are safe from a health standpoint, as well as all of our employees from a health standpoint. And admittedly, we don't know how COVID-19 is going to progress, and we don't know what's going to be happening in the summer. We don't know what's going to be happening in the fall. But we also know that we can't just let ourselves sit here in a state of paralysis, just waiting to see what happens, because whatever happens will happen, and meanwhile we'll have done nothing. So we've been doing a lot of planning here at the college in terms of how we can deliver this education and deliver it in a safe way to you as students. When you look at the offerings that we have, you're going to notice that there are three primary categories that we use in terms of describing what the course is going to be like. We talk about it being in person, or we could talk about it being a blended course, or we could talk about it being an online course. Well, what do those things mean? Well, first off, the in-person course is probably what you're most familiar with. You're on the campus. Well, in our particular case in this coming year, you will be on the campus if you're in a course that requires you to do some hands-on portions of the learning. So whether that be in the trades or engineering or welding, or whether that be in the health sciences like respiratory care or medical assistant or as a nurse, or whether you're in digital arts or you're in public safety. There are labs and rooms that we have that we expect students to practice with and to be able to use the equipment and use the tools that are part of that occupation. So those will be open here at the college and all of our sites that have those labs. So that's not just Green Bay, that's also Sturgeon Bay and Marinette. And in some cases, some of the high schools that we are running academies in. So those things will be made available. But the difference will be is that the spacing of how students are spaced out in there will be such that it will allow for physical distancing to occur. Maybe there's lots of advice about what to do to keep people safe. We're really focusing on three things. One is to provide for that physical space, at least 6 feet apart. And we will be working so that when people are entering the building, when they're walking through the hallways, when they're in the laboratories, they're doing it in a manner that is maintaining that spacing. Of course, some of that's going to be up to you as students as well to do that, but we're going to be able to provide the ability for you to have that spacing. The second thing is we are going to require students and all of the employees here at the college to wear masks. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm not real excited about wearing a mask. I'm trying to get used to wearing a mask. I'm obviously not wearing a mask at the moment. But one of the things that we do know about masks is that they are highly effective in terms of limiting the transmission of that of the coronavirus. Oftentimes, people are asymptomatic. In fact, today I was just reading an article that says people may be asymptomatic for even more than 14 days. So you don't know whether or not you have the coronavirus or not, but by wearing a mask, you've reduced the possibility of spreading that to somebody else by 70%. And if the person that has the mask on, and you have a mask on, that chance of them getting a coronavirus from you is reduced all the way down to 5%. So we're going to require masks, and so that's the third leg that we'll be doing. And then the second leg. The third leg, of course, is that we're going to be cleaning and cleaning and cleaning, and making sure that we're using the right kinds of cleansers and the right kinds of fluids to make sure that our equipment, our furniture, our tools are kept clean and kept virus-free. So those three things we'll be doing on a regular basis. And of course, we'll be encouraging you to wash hands, because that's another extremely effective way in order to limit the transmission of that disease. We have sanitizing stations throughout all of the sites that we have. So while we'll have you here in person, you will be in spaces that are being kept safe, and you will be learning in ways that will still allow you to do the hands-on. Now, where we have the opportunity to deliver the education, where you don't have to have the hands-on. So that could be in some of our courses like Introduction to Sociology, it could be in a math course, it could be in a English composition course. All of these courses, by the way, are contextualized in a way that they relate to the occupation that you're learning. But in those kinds of courses, we could deliver them completely online and remotely. But the good news is that our plan is to actually make sure that every student that is in one of those courses, at least one day or one meeting of that course a week will be on campus. The other day or days will probably be off campus using technology in many cases. In some cases, if you don't have the technology, we will provide it to you, whether it's a computer or it's a hotspot, so that you can get it, or you'll be able to access that technology by going to a local regional learning center so that you can do that. So please don't be worried about not having the technology. We will make sure that you have access to that so that you can do the work that needs to be done. Many of those courses or that off-campus format is also delivered synchronously. And what we mean by synchronous is that all of you are participating at the same time on the course. And much like my panelists today are all in front of me, I can see all of their faces. I know what they're doing, and if they're goofing around, I can tell. One of them has a dog, by the way. I saw the dog. It was pretty cute. But at any rate, those people are able to interact and see each other and communicate. They can also work together in teams. The technology allows us to break up the people that are in the class electronically into work groups. So you'll continue to do teamwork. And as I said, you'll also be on campus at least one day a week, which will allow you to have some face-to-face communication with your instructor as well as face-to-face with your fellow classmates. We will call that blended. So if you see that as you're looking through a catalog or you're looking through our website, frankly, and you see the courses listed blended, that's what that means. Now, we do offer some courses online. We've been offering them for years now, and we will continue to offer courses online. Though when you see something that says online, that means it is completely online, meaning there's no on-campus component to that. Often the online courses are what we call asynchronous, which means that you can come in and do the work and the learning in an online format at a time and a place that makes sense for you and that works around your particular schedule. So there's at least three different ways of doing that. And many of you will be in our new format of classes where it's an 8-week format. And by 8 weeks format, what that really means is that you will take fewer courses in a more concentrated manner. It would be the same number that you would potentially take over a 15-week semester, but it will be split in two. So let's just say that you were going to take 4 courses over the course of the semester, which would be a sort of a normal full-time load or a little less than full-time. Now you would end up taking 2 courses in the first 8 weeks and 2 courses in the second 8 weeks. Still the same number of hours of instruction. You're still going to learn the same things. Students who have been in this format have found that they like this format because they only have to focus on 1 or 2 courses as opposed to dividing their time up amongst 4. The success rates have been much higher in those kinds of courses. So don't be afraid or fearful of going into that 8-week. Our history shows that students, once they've done that, much prefer the 8-week courses. We have a lot of support here at the college. We are absolutely committed to your success. And when you come here, I know that you've made at least one very important decision, and that decision was to come to NWTC. And I want to make sure that you are successful when you come here. So in addition to really great faculty and instructors that we also have a full crew of people who are dedicated to your success, to keeping track of when you might be getting into trouble academically and reaching out to you and providing you tutoring and coaching, to folks that are available to you to work through scheduling problems or things that have happened in your life or that suddenly got in the way. Through our academic advising, they will be helping you. We have folks here who can help you if you start to have some mental stress or anxiety or depression or any of those kinds of problems that really need a licensed, professionally trained counselor. We have those counselors here as well. You know, all of these folks are here specifically to help meet your needs. And of course, I hope that none of you feel any kind of, I don't know, reluctance, sometimes embarrassment that you have to go and get this help. You know, everybody that at one time or another needs help and needs coaching. I mean, even Aaron Rodgers, for crying out loud, has to have coaching, right? He doesn't always like it, but when he is coached and he listens, he is more successful. So we have those available to you. We also have available to you opportunities to, if you start to find out that some emergency happened, something you hadn't anticipated. I mean, maybe your car broke down, or maybe, unfortunately, you got an eviction notice, or perhaps, you for some reason, you ran out of food and you don't have the food that you need. We have the ability to help you in all of those areas, to provide food, to provide emergency funds. We want to make sure that nothing stops you from being successful here at the college and getting your education. Because we know if you get that credential, that you will end up getting a job, and it will be a job that will pay you a living wage, a wage that will allow you to raise your family the way in which you wish to do that. It will allow you to prosper. And so we don't want all of those other things, while, very distressing in some cases, to stop you from being successful here at the college. We are absolutely committed to your success. So whether you're in an 8-week course and you find out you're starting to have trouble, or you get more anxious because you're like, oh my gosh, what happened? I just missed a class, and now that's means more than if I had just missed it in a 15-week. We're here to help you and to help you through that, to make sure you're successful. We've done one other thing, though, added something here, is because there are no guarantees in life, right? And we know what we have planned. We believe that it will be successful, but who knows? Maybe it won't work out for you. So what we have done is we have created what we call a no-risk enrollment program. What we're saying here is that first, there will be no application fee. So the $30 fee that is typically there for applications, we are waiving all the way, at least until August the 1st. So, reserve your spot, make your application, save that $30. Secondly, we're not asking you to pay your tuition until at least 5 days into the start of that semester. We want you to take your first couple of classes, find out, is this what I want? Is it going to work? Did it turn out to be what they were saying? And once you have determined that it will, and it does, because I firmly believe that we will meet your expectations, and then at that point, you can go ahead and begin to pay. But if it doesn't, or something happens, then you will not have paid us anything, and so there'll be nothing, there'll be no money that you'll have spent. Now, this means that we'll even get you books and supplies, make sure you have whatever tool you might need, or tools you might need in that first week. And so we'll provide that. Now, maybe you would prefer to pay. I don't know about you. I like to pay because I just like to get it. I don't want to have to think about it. So maybe you paid, but then you decided after that 5 days that you did not, that this was not for you. Then we will refund the entire amount of money that you paid. And it will be done in a way that will be easy, won't be difficult to get, and frankly will not result in any kind of record of any kind that might sometime in the future affect your education. So we call this our no-risk enrollment. So I would encourage you to reserve your spot. You can give us a call, make an application, talk to us on a chat box, complete your registration if you've already done your application, knowing that you're not going to be trapped necessarily into doing something that you don't want to do or that you don't like doing. Some of you may be thinking you're going to sit out the year. You're going to take a gap year. You might have just graduated from high school and thinking, I don't know what's going to happen at universities, what's going to happen at the community and technical colleges, so I'm just going to sit it out. I would encourage you not to do that. Or if you decide to do that, you can still take a course or 2 or 3 during the year here at NWTC, and the courses that will transfer to the university. So, you can get some of those things out of the way, and frankly, it'll be a lot less expensive than if you had gone to the university, and at the same time, not have locked yourself into a situation that you were uncomfortable with. So these are things that we're doing. If you want to know more about it, you can go online to nwtc.edu, and the scrolling banner right across the top, click on it. It'll get you right into the website. Or there's a chat feature down at the bottom. Just click on chat. Somebody will start talking with you. Or if you don't have any of that, if you don't have a computer or you don't have access to the internet, give us a call at our call center. And our call center can take you through the entire process, get you get an application, and get you registered, get you into a program. This is an exciting time. Don't let the pandemic win. You know that will eventually go away. Let's keep your life moving forward. That's what we're committed to doing here at NWTC.
Are we ready for some questions?
Absolutely.
Okay, wonderful. If you have questions, again, I encourage you to type them into the chat feature. I'm looking up at the screen right now, watching for your questions. And while we wait for you to type in your questions, we did have a few questions that were emailed to us in preparation for today. And so maybe some of those folks who sent us the email are listening today. So I want to make sure that we address those questions. So I'll start by reading them, but I'll be keeping an eye out for your questions as you send them in. So the first question that we had emailed to us is, if in-person classes will be held in the fall, will class sizes be limited?
Yeah, absolutely. Very good question. Because we want to maintain that physical distance, the size of the class will be limited to allow for 6 feet between each of the classmates. Often that means that classes that were perhaps 24 will now be a class of 12. So that's a good thing in the sense of thinking about how much interaction you can have with the instructor and the other folks that are there. So maybe that's a silver lining, if you will, because of that pandemic.
Will students be required to wear masks, be tested, or be vaccinated?
Well, of course, we don't have a vaccine. I'm sure if and when a vaccine becomes available, we'll all want to be vaccinated, but we won't be requiring students to be vaccinated. And we're not going to be doing temperature checks. At least that's the current plan. The information on the value of the temperature check is somewhat mixed. You can imagine if we tried to do temperature checks, what a backlog we would end up having. On the other hand, as I mentioned before, you will be required to wear a mask. So you'll need to have a mask. If for some reason you come to class and you forgot to bring your mask, we'll have disposable masks available for you to use. So we don't want a student not to be able to participate because they didn't bring a mask. But at the same time, we will be expecting students, as well as all of our employees, to have some sort of face covering over the nose and the mouth. By the way, I think these masks are becoming quite the fashion statement. There are all kinds of different ones that are out there. So I'll be curious to see what you as a student decide to bring in. Hopefully it's tasteful, but beyond that, it'll be interesting to see what we're all wearing as masks.
Will the building be open this summer for students in summer classes for individual studying or small group studying?
For the most part, no, during the summer. Of course, if you're in a class that requires you to be in the building, and there are some classes like that. About a third of them are that way. Of course, you will be here. But we're trying to keep the numbers of students in the hallways down as we prepare the school to be able to meet the needs of all of our students in the in-person classes in the fall.
My son will be a high school senior in the fall. Are there any summer classes at NWTC that would be available to him this summer? He does plan to attend NWTC fall of 21.
Well, absolutely, there are courses. Or maybe I'll let a few of our panelists talk about the courses that are going to be there. I know Dean Schmidt, she's got a lot of courses that she's offering during the summer. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Ruffin. General Studies has a full array of classes. They are offered in a blended modality, meaning that they're web conference and online for the majority of the classes. We also have science classes, and microbiology and biology will be offered the lab in person and the lecture online. So if you go to the NWTC website and take a look at the offerings, they're all out there for you. You might want to attend a SOAR session as well, because to get started on your gen eds now would be a great opportunity.
I know Colleen, that our vice president, I don't know who you'd want to have answer this question, but if that student, that senior, wants to talk to somebody to figure out, well, what courses would make sense for me to take in the summer, given the major that I have or the occupation that I'm going to be educated for, who would he call, and who would he talk to?
Thank you, Dr. Raffin. That's a really great question. And I'm going to refer that to my academic advising team. And I think we have two individuals there, so either one can jump in and talk about the great personalized connection we have with our academic advisors.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Simpson. My name is Erica Wade. I'm the Academic Advising Manager, and we do give a lot of personalized attention to students that are starting at NWTC. So you'll work with either a career coach or an admissions advisor to get started with your admissions process, and then complete SOAR Online that gets you acclimated to what to expect during your registration, and then you can make an appointment with your academic advisor that can talk through what you still need for your program, what your life balance looks like, so we can get a schedule that works best for you.
So if he knows what he's going to be in and he's already made an application, he can talk to someone and you can make sure that he is taking advantage of classes that make sense for his program?
Correct. Yes, we'll make a plan that's catered directly to the student, what program he's in, what his schedule looks like, and then we go for there.
So you could either call us, and I think the number is, what is that number, Erin?
Our number is 920-498-5444. Or you can go to our website, like Alicia said before, and just click on the chat feature, and they can direct you right to your academic advisor to schedule that appointment today.
Great. So there's lots of ways to get a hold of us. Go ahead and do it. We're all friendly people.
I would also add, if you would like us to reach out to you, go ahead and send us a private message in the chat feature. Just send it directly to us privately and give us your contact information, and we'll have one of Erica's team reach right out to you.
Great.
Okay. Next question. If I cannot attend class because I'm ill, will that affect my grades? Will teachers be understanding and provide options?
Obviously, we want you to learn the content of the course, but if you're ill, we're not going to hold that against you. In fact, we actually don't want you to come here if you're ill. We want you to get better, to take the time to get better. We will then work with you in order to help you make up the work that you have missed. Our faculty are really good. They're creative at that. As I said, we have coaches. We have other folks that can work with you. It will not. We will not be counting this against your grade. This is something that was unexpected. So those are things that we work with. We take pride in the fact that we are flexible in that way. But we do not want you to come here if you are sick. And I know that, I don't know if you're like me and like many of us in around here, if we get sick, we're like, well, we'll tough it out. We'll go to school anyways. This is not the time to do that. It's not the time to tough it out. So we'll make sure that you're able to complete that work. And if you can't complete it in the semester, we can give you an incomplete. You'll have a way in which to be able to complete that work later. So please please know that we're concerned about your health first, and then we'll make sure you get your education.
Will there be food service on campus?
For the most part, at least during the rest of the academic year, so that will be until the end of December, we will not have the commons open, which is where you would typically go to get, let's say, a full lunch or dinner, or go to the salad bar. Frankly, we just can't. We don't want students congregating in groups. Now, having said that, we have made a commitment that every area where we're providing the occupational training and education will have vending available. So we are in the process of additional vending machines being brought in. I've asked that they include some healthy foods in vending. But if you're like me, there's lots of unhealthy food that I'd like to eat, so they'll both be there. And then, of course, we encourage you to bring your own food. And you should feel free to be eating that food in your classes. Although I suspect we would prefer that you not be drinking liquids while you're working on the keyboard. My CIO, my Chief Information Officer, is shaking his head. Yo, please, no, don't. So.
Will there be study abroad next year?
Unfortunately, there will not be study abroad. Study abroad's a great opportunity, and hopefully you'll be able to take advantage of that at some point. But next year, we do not anticipate having study abroad. The situation overseas in terms of how the pandemic's being handled is, at best uncertain, and your ability to get in and out of the United States is uncertain. So we'll be taking a year off, if you will. We will have plans underway to resume that in the succeeding years, and it will be even better than it has been in the past. But this coming year, we're going to take the conservative approach, and we will not have it available.
Will the library be open?
Yes. No, excuse me. What we are going to do with the library is almost all of the holdings of the library are available electronically. So every one of the facilities, or every one of the buildings that are teaching a specific occupational area, will have available within that building a place where you can go and you can access the library electronically to get support. And there'll be a place that you can go to work on computers and in a computer lab configuration. So, you'll be able to access what's in the library, but you won't be in the library. What we're trying to do is make sure that students stay primarily in the areas or the buildings where the courses are being taught. That way we can limit how much transmission, if heaven forbid somebody had COVID, happens across the campus. So this is just another way to help keep you safe. But at the same time, the resources that are in the library, the resources in terms of being able to access computers will be available, but it's going to be spread out into each individual building area.
Will counseling services be available?
Absolutely, counseling services are available. By the way, all these services that we're talking about, they're not only available on campus, they're available off campus as well. So, if you're taking a course and you're taking it online, or it's blended, or whatever way that is, or you need to access these services without coming to campus, they're available. So that's advising and counseling and, emergency funds, food, clothing, whatever, including counseling. Now, they're available on campus, and they're also available off campus. And our counselors are anxious to talk to you and help you. I don't know, sometimes people get embarrassed because they need counseling. The reality is that our statistics show that at least a third of the students at some point or another could benefit from counseling from our counselors to help them get through their courses, to work through the stress. You're taking a course, perhaps you're balancing family, perhaps you're balancing work. And then on top of it, we've got this pandemic. That's a lot of stress that's out there. And we've got ways in which to help you work through all of that. So please take advantage of the counseling.
Is there a virtual tour available now to see the features of the NWTC campus?
Yeah, actually we have virtual tours of all of our buildings and our programs. And, they're actually pretty cool. They've done a really good job. I certainly encourage you to take a look at them. If for some reason you want to come on the campus itself, we could probably do that one-on-one. Best thing to do is to contact us either through that 498-5444 or our chat feature, and we can make arrangements.
If you'd like to find the virtual tours that are available right now, you can go to nwtc.edu, click on the admissions button at the top of the screen, and you scroll down and there'll be a link that says under Tour the Campus. If you click the blue Visit the Campus button, you'll see links for each of our different buildings on campus that you can see the tours right now. I will also tell you that coming soon will be virtual tours of the campus that are more like virtual reality, where it'll feel like you're actually walking through the building. Those aren't quite ready yet, but they will be soon. The next question that we have is, how is the college handling campus cleaning if a COVID case is found on campus?
Well, we have specific protocol to follow based on recommendations from CDC. And essentially they include closing the building or the space where that student has been for a period of 3 days and doing a deep clean, if you will, where we have a cleaning crew that has been trained in order to decontaminate, again, if you will, that particular area. And then students would be allowed back into that space.
I think you may have mentioned this already, but we'll ask it again. What campus services are available remotely?
All campus services are available remotely. So you should always make sure you take advantage of those services and don't think that you're putting anybody out. Our folks, they know how to travel, they know how to communicate, they know how to use the technology that's there to the best advantage. And if you don't have the technology, we know how to get to you to be able to help you. So please take advantage of all of our services.
I am a nursing student. Will I have clinicals in the fall?
That's a really good question. And I'm going to ask Dean, I think he's covered up on my screen, but anyways, Dean Anderson, to answer that question. Dean Anderson is responsible for all of health sciences at the college.
Good morning. My name is Scott Anderson. I'm the Dean of Health Sciences and Education. Right now, our clinical access is looking promising for the fall. So we are getting, information from our clinical sites that they are starting to take students back this summer and certainly for the fall. Albeit that can be a fluid situation, seeing about what the second wave might look like, but right now we are planning and anticipating clinical access will be there. It may be in smaller groups than we're used to. So in particular in nursing, if we're used to going out in a group of 8, that might be a group of 4, and then we will do some supplementation of clinical simulation in our simulation lab for that group. So that may look slightly different, but we do anticipate clinical access, and we are planning for clinical access to continue.
Thank you.
How do I know if I'm eligible for financial aid?
Good question. Let's see, who do I want to pick on here? Who would like to answer that question amongst my panel? Mark, how would you answer that?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Effen. Yeah, the best way to find out if you qualify for financial aid is to fill out the free application for financial aid. It's called the FAFSA. And so you can always call one of our financial aid advisors, again, at that 498-5444, or go on the chat and ask to speak to a financial aid advisor. And they can talk to you if you have questions about if you're eligible for financial aid. For the most part, filling out that FAFSA, really anybody is eligible for loans. And by filling out that FAFSA, you'll see if you qualify for free grants also.
Yeah, I think FAFSAs have gotten a bad rap as being very complicated, and they can be a little bit complicated, but our financial advisors can walk you through that and can make sure that you're able to answer questions as you're going through it. So don't hesitate to fill out a FAFSA. A lot of times people find out that they were eligible for financial aid that they didn't realize that they could get. Also, those FAFSAs sometimes are used in order to ascertain whether or not a student might be eligible for other kinds of funds.
The program I'm interested in requires a toolkit. Do I get a toolkit with no risk enrollment?
We will make sure that you have the tools you need in that first week or those first 5 days. Typically, you're not going to need a full set of tools for that, but the tools that you will need during that week will be available on the campus.
How can I register for no risk enrollment?
You know, I'm back to call 498-5444. Go ahead and hit the chat feature, talk to us that way. Look at, you can do it all online if you want. Again, scrolling across the top is a banner that just says click on me, and you'll be able to get the process started. Some of you may have already started. We have quite a few people that have made applications but haven't finished them. If you're hung up, or there's something that you're not able to get, or you're feeling like, perhaps for instance, maybe you can't get a transcript, or there's some piece of paper that you're feeling you need to have, submit it anyways, contact us anyways. We have ways in which to help you to work through getting the rest of that process done. And we're providing a little more flexibility than we have in the past, just in order to make sure that you can come in and reserve your spot. Go ahead, reserve your spot. We will work with you in getting the rest of it done.
I'd just like to let the participants on the call know that we're nearing the end of our emailed questions. So if you've been sitting there thinking about typing your question in the future, now is a good time to do that. We have a question here that says, is there someone I can talk to about programs that might be a fit for me?
Absolutely. We have our admissions counselors that will work with you. And then we also have a career center staff. Maybe John, our Dean for Student Success, could you talk to us, John, about how we would help a student who isn't quite sure what it is that they should be taking, or what programs they want to be in?
Absolutely. Thanks, Dr. Raffin. Again, my name is John Grant. I'm the Dean of Student Development, and we do have a full suite of services in our career services area that are all available to you virtually. As Dr. Raffin mentioned, all of our services can be accessed right now away from campus anywhere in our district, and career services is one of those. So if you go to our webpage, for example, and you click on the notice at the top of the page, it's going to bring you to student support services available and how to contact them. So you can call us, you can chat with us, and we'll be happy to set up an assessment for you where you can do one of our online career assessments and learn a little bit about what might be the right fit for you for a program at NWTC. In addition, our career advisors will work with you through that assessment process, help you evaluate it, and help you determine what might be the next best steps in terms of moving forward to learning about how you can get the credential in that area that's a good fit.
I have one last question. What happens if a second wave of the coronavirus hits in the fall?
Well, we will obviously work closely with what we're required to do according to CDC. We, I think, have been very successful in terms of making the switch over to more remote learning. We're bringing into place more simulation equipment, more portability for some of that. Hopefully we would be able to allow you to use that at our regional centers if you're not able to access it at home. One of the departments that has had to really be creative in this area is in our engineering and trades. And I was wondering, Amy, if you could just talk a little bit about the creativity that your faculty have brought to make sure that students can continue to learn in a COVID environment. We need to turn off, you're muted.
Somebody had to be that person. So thank you. My name is Amy Cox, and I'm the Dean for Trades and Engineering Technologies. And our faculty are really committed to making sure that students get the hands-on experience they need to build the skills that are needed for the employers in our area. So we have done, there was a news article piece a couple weeks ago when we couldn't have access to our labs. About an instructor who used a basic piece of equipment that everyone has in their own home, a vacuum cleaner, to demonstrate how some different critical mechanical parts worked and electronics in that machine. So things like that have gone on for the time that we haven't been on campus. With being able to utilize our labs, our faculty are working on ways to make sure that we maintain that social distancing that keeps us all safe, but also have hands-on on the equipment that we feel is essential to be able to get that learning done.
So next time my vacuum cleaner doesn't work, I'm taking that class.
We had another question typed into the chat. What are the plans for housing at the orchards? If school went completely virtual, what would happen with those housing fees?
The orchards actually is a partnership with us, but at the same time is not. What do I want to say? It's not. We don't run it, so we work with them. Right now, there's plenty of rooms available, so I would certainly encourage you to give them a call. They have implemented process and procedures, of course, to help students stay safe. In there. To be honest, I am not 100% sure what their refund policy is. So that's a good question I'll have to ask, but that's certainly something that you could ask them at the same time.
I'll make one last call for questions if anyone wants to type one in.
One of the persons that we haven't heard from on our panel is Mr. Gilbert. He is responsible for public safety programs, and I know that he's actually had students already back on campus taking some of those courses. Maybe you could talk to us a little bit about what happens in your department and how you are protecting students, particularly some of those close person-on-person encounters that you train our public safety folks like paramedics and EMTs and police officers sometimes handle.
Thank you, Dr. Raffin. I'm quite impressed with the way things have been running in the public safety department. As most of the college, everything is hands-on, especially in our area where we follow the Department of Justice requirements, among other requirements. Some of them we do hands-on activities. Students wear gloves or they're positive. Again, everybody is required face masks and the social distancing. Students have been really great about filling out the surveys on possible illnesses or contacts and self-reporting, and we haven't had any issues yet whatsoever. Frequent sanitizing. Every time a piece of equipment is used by a student, it is sanitized by a faculty member before it is given to another student to use. So in the department, criminal justice, EMS, all of these areas, things have been running very smoothly. And actually our Law Enforcement Recruit Academy will graduate this week. And so things are going good. Thank you.
That's great. So the person who's in charge of all of this learning is our Vice President for Learning, Catherine Rogalski, Dr. Rogalski. How are you making all this work, Catherine? I mean, it just seems like a lot of change going on all at once.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Raffin, and good morning, everyone. I think that the great thing about NWTC is that we're not new to flexible learning. We have been a college that has accommodated all different kinds of learning for many years. Many of our faculty have been teaching online since right when it started, and we also do a lot of hands-on work. So combining the online work with the hands-on learning is something that we're not new to. We have a lot of faculty who've been working very hard at thinking about how to be creative in the classroom, and they're really excited to have their students back. The summer is going extremely well for our students who are on campus right now, and the fall will be even better. So we have protocols in place. We're working with all of our faculties and our faculty and our deans and associate deans to make sure that we have the right setup for all of our students to come in, learn the way they want to learn, and be successful in their classes. We're really excited to get back to the fall semester and get students on campus.
Great. Yeah, it's kind of lonely here sometimes during the summer, so please come. We're looking forward to seeing you.
That's our last question. We don't have any more.
Well, thank you for participating, and thank you to our panelists. Again, if you know a friend or others, let them know that there's one more session, which is tomorrow. I believe it's at 10 o'clock on the community forum. So, or if you have questions that you haven't asked or something comes up between now and then, feel free to participate tomorrow. So thank you. Have a great weekend.